Zambia, and welcome to the Smart Voices Debate Season 2, sponsored by Zambia Revenue Authority. My name is Chanzi Sikazwe, and I'll be your host for this season. Today's debate, we have Chongwe High proposing and Kablonga Girls opposing to the motion that states, this House believes that taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. And I quote, this House believes that taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. I will now read the rules of this debate. Number 1, no religious references, quotations, or concepts will be allowed. Number 2, physical evidence is allowed, which includes a demonstration of evidence and shall be handed over to the adjudicator. Handwritten, printed, or published materials. Number 3, the following items are prohibited in the preparation room. Mobile phones, particularly smartphones, cameras, tablets, PCs, MP3 players. Anything that can store data electronically and or connect to the internet. Number 4, all phones must be on silent. The sequence of debate is as follows. The first speaker on each team presents their argument in 4 minutes. The second speaker and third speaker will speak for 3 minutes. The speaker, the summarizer, will be allowed 4 minutes. Number 5, interjections are allowed and shall be done as follows. Interjections will be allowed after the first 1 minute of a speaker taking the floor. Each interjection is done within 1 minute. The moderator will enforce the rules, allowing or rejecting interjections or calls for support. The timekeeper will pause the speaker's time when there's an interjection. A team can propose to support the speaker after an interjection. I will now call upon the first speaker from the proposing side to give us our icebreaker.
Standing 90 degrees perpendicular to the floor adjacent to the pulpit, parallel to the theorems of an opposer, but directly proportional to the knowledge of an intellectual. With uncalculated or infinite knowledge in me, I therefore stand to interpret and not to manipulate, to educate, so please concentrate. Affiliate members of this house, intellectuality begins with punctuality, humanity, and prosperity. It's me, Joshua Dimvola, who sleeps naked but hands in the pocket. It would be very unwise of me, a wise speaker, to start elaborating my points without passing my sincere benediction to the point of adjudicators, the chairperson, the timekeeper, the door bouncer, my fellow debaters, house of intellectuals. Call me ambulance, Yapa Chenama, because I'm here to drive you crazy. With a little time given to me, and with a regard and order of seniority, allow me simply say, all diplomatic etiquette be held with high prestige. I stand in full proposition to the motion which state as I stipulate. This House believes that taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. End of quotation. But being the icebreaker or the first affirmative speaker from the proposing delegation, it is really my obligation to break down the most key terms in this motion. Effective, producing the result that is wanted or intended. Wealth, a large amount of money, property, etc. Redistribution, to share something out among people in a different way. But affiliate members of this session, we as the government, it is so insufferable seeing our affiliate members of this house being misled by the opposing delegation. Now, to show that this is serious business, allow me to remove this jacket as I journey into this battlefield. May the Good Samaritan handle this for me, please. Starting with my first point. Progressive taxation reduces income inequality. Taxing the rich help to reduce the income and wealth disparity in society, wealthy and inequality to significant problems. Affiliate members of this session, we as intellectuals, we are the people that are expected to critically analyze situations and think outside the box. We are living in a country that do not just contain people that are rich, but also people that are below the average on the other hand. Now, under this point, progressive taxation, it is an entity that make us understand to say, if we tax we should tax the poor it is going to bring something that won't even benefit these people. But to say that the rich should pay the same as the poor, it is the same that you say a teacher sitting for a grade 9 exam with the learner and expecting all to have the same result, which is insufferable. Now, affiliate members of this house, to say that I'm a speaker who speaks from within and not from without the boundaries of debate, here's evidence with me extracted from Thomas Piketty's book of 2014, which Piketty argues that progressive taxation on high income is essential for producing wealth inequality and promoting more balanced economic growth. May the Good Samaritan do as wise. Moving on to my second point, which is funding social programs and services. Taxes on the wealthy can allocate it to essential social programs such as healthcare, education, and housing, the society security. Now, affiliate members of this house, under this point as articulated in my first preamble to say we are people that expect to critically analyze and think outside the box. If you look at our country, Zambia per se, it is a country that contains approximately 50% of people who are below the average, of which are supposed to be attended to regardless of their socio-economic status. Now, affiliate members of this session, if you say that the rich should pay at least a certain amount of money should be extracted from these people who are rich, this is going to be one thing that will even make the government to have a certain amount of money that they're going to use to renovate or rather to help these other services, just like, for example, education, healthcare, of which these people that are below the average will be able to find help from. Now, to show that I'm a debater who speaks from within and not from without the boundaries of debate, here's evidence with me extracted from CE and Zussman of 2014, The Triumph of Justice, where the man elaborated to say progressive taxation could fund essential public services and infrastructure. May the Good Samaritan please pass this evidence to judges for further verification. Asking for 60 seconds, please, to summarize.
30 seconds allowed.
All right. As I summarize, I say with the point which is economic benefit of wealth redistribution. Affiliate members of this house, we as intellectuals, we should always remember to say when a certain amount of money is poured on these people that are below the average, it is not going to bring anything, or rather it's going to bring economic growth, but it's just going to demolish us as Zambians, and it will no longer put our Zambia on the map. Now, affiliate members of this session, with these few but bulletin points, I dissolve Parliament.
Thank you so much to the first speaker from the proposing side. I will now call upon the first speaker from the opposing side to continue this brilliant battle of the brains.
My sincere gratitude to you, Madam Chairperson, indeed, for that magnificent call. I'm humbled. Barack Hansen had a vision that one day his son would become the first black president of America. It is through this vision that we see Barack Obama become the first black president of America. And my mother, my parents, also had a vision that one day their child would stand in front of a lovely audience, revealing excellence with great confidence. My name is Patience Titamenji Zulu from Kablonga Girls Secondary School. A very hard nut to crack, advanced to a much higher prestigious level with a cognitive or full intellectual capacity. But before I base on my vast knowledge of intellectual capacity, it is with significance that I proceed with the recognition of the following people. To the chairperson, I salute you. To the panel of adjudicators to whose jurisdiction I shall humbly accept, I salute you. To the timekeeper, please keep your time on track. To the audience, pay particular attention as you listen to the words of the wise. In simplicity, all seniorities are highly observed. Now, allow me to state the motion. Quote me exactly as I stipulate. This House believes that taxes on the rich serves as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. As the first speaker, icebreaker, and firstborn daughter from the opposing delegation, it is my duty to define the following keywords. Believe. This is to hold a subjective attitude that something is true. According to Zambia Revenue Authority, tax is defined as a mandatory payment or charge collected by local or central government from individuals or businesses to run the costs of government. Members of the auditorium, rich is defined as having a great deal of money, assets, or existing in large quantities. Members of the auditorium, an effective tool is one that is considered capable of attaining a particular output. Wealth redistribution, members of the auditorium, is the transfer of money or income from some people to other people through social mechanisms such as progressive taxation. Now, I'm a speaker who speaks from within and most definitely not from without. May the Good Samaritan, please, pass the evidence to the judges for further verification. Members of the auditorium, you may wish to know that our motivation to oppose to this motion is motivated by the following key areas of concern. My second speaker will echo much on investment and stronger enforcement. My third speaker will talk about progressive taxation and shareholder participation. And my summarizer will give an overview of our view. I'll leave you with a quote, members of the auditorium. My panelists will handle the rest. It reads as I quote, quote me closely. It is not possible to be in favor of justice for some people and not to be in favor of justice for all people. With these few convincing points, I raise my case.
Thank you so much to the first speaker of the opposing side. I will now call upon the second speaker of the proposing side to come forth and give us their points.
The stage is set, the audience is eager, and the time is now. In a world where ideas can change the game, one voice stands out from the crowd. It is I, Natasha Chanda, the passionate advocate who will challenge your assumptions, inspire your creativity, and push the boundaries of your imagination. Get ready to be inspired. But before I go any further, allow me to acknowledge the distinguished members of this auditorium that made this debate a success. To the panel of adjudicators, I salute. To our chairperson, I bow. To the keen audience, sit back and let me educate you on what the debate is all about. To my fellow debaters, let's debate the debate that has never been debated by the best debaters. Back to the motion at hand, which states, as I quote, taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. End of quotation. In full support of this motion, allow me to educate you with the following points. And my first point states, increased revenue. Since the rich are wealthy, when taxes are being implied on these people, we're actually going to have increased revenue in the country. And this revenue is actually going to be used to fund public services. In what way? And a way in which taxes can be funded to the public services is through CDF, Constituent Development Fund. And this money is actually going to be used for medical supplies like drugs, health equipment, health infrastructure like clinics and hospitals, and not just in the health sectors, members of this great auditorium, but also in the education sectors, school grants, school and university infrastructure. Not only that, but many other. To show that I'm a speaker who speaks from within and not from without the boundaries of debate, here is evidence with me that shows the revenue estimate and measures extracted from the national budget of Zambia, which states how much tax was being collected from the people. And I also have with me the 2025 expenditure by functions of government, which shows how this revenue was being allocated to the country. May the Good Samaritan please do as wise and pass on this evidence to the judges for further verification. This takes me to my second point, which states reducing poverty and inequality. It is very unequal.
Point of interjection.
It is very unequal.
Point of interjection allowed.
Madam Speaker, indeed, what an amazing speaker you are. But you talked about the rich paying tax, yes. But members of this auditorium, let us bear in mind that the rich people actually can pay tax, but do all of them pay tax? Here is evidence that clearly shows that there are numerous multinational companies that actually do not pay tax. So how can that serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution when there are other rich people that are not paying tax? Answer my question. Thank you.
As the motion states to say, taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. So when laws are being applied to the taxation of the wealthy people, it's actually going to enable them to pay tax, which is actually going to act as a wealth redistribution in the country. This takes me to my second point, which states reducing poverty and inequality. It is very unequal house of this great auditorium for government to tax both the rich and the poor, because it's actually going to make the poor more poorer. Here is an example of a man who earns about 7,000. Now this man has to provide for family food, shelter, clothing, and well-being. And to come to think of it, this man is actually being deducted of tax, making him not actually receiving that 7,000.
Madam Speaker, indeed, what a magnificent speaker you are. You keep on echoing on the fact that only the rich should pay tax. But have you ever heard the saying that every coin counts? It doesn't matter where the money is coming from. Each and everyone, as a citizen of Zambia, and if you know your civic education very well, has a responsibility to pay tax.
Point of defense.
To show that I'm a speaker
defense.
who speaks from within and not from without.
Madam Speaker, what a wonderful speaker you are indeed. But now, you didn't hear the question, or rather the articulation properly. She said that it's not only the rich to pay, but it's everyone, but she means that the rich should pay at least a little bit amount of money that is higher than the poor. Please get that articulation properly.
Thank you, my fellow speaker from the proposing side. Well, to get back to the motion, it actually states the reason we are here to debate. 60 seconds to summarize, please.
30 seconds will be allocated.
The motion clearly states to say we are actually debating so that wealthy people should be taxed, not the poor. May you please read your motion again? Let me take you into integrated science, where we learn about the water cycle, why it starts from evaporation or transpiration, then from there it takes us to condensation, from condensation to precipitation. Now the environment uses this technique to redistribute or to circulate the water in the system to prevent drought. Then why can government use that same technique on the wealth and redistribute the wealth through taxing the rich people to prevent them from accumulating a lot of wealth and actually improve the well-being of our country? With these few but bulletive points, I rest my case.
We thank you, second speaker from the proposing side, for your facts and your positions. I will now call upon the second speaker from the opposing side to give us the rebuttals.
I am ecstatically delighted, misproportionately flabbergasted with the enormous gratification and appreciation for such information, in which the pre-incurring subsequent matter has been thoroughly demonstrated. But it would be erroneous of me to proceed without noticing the high-ranking officials in this house of debate. To the chairperson, I salute. To the judges, I bow. To the timekeeper, keep your time on track, because when I start to listen, when I start to speak, even time stays still to listen. In order of seniority or diplomatic etiquette, be highly and sincerely observed. Now, bouncing back to the motion stipulates as articulate, this House believes that taxes on the rich serves as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. End of articulation. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, taxes on the rich could discourage investment due to the fact that the rich wouldn't want to invest in a country which has higher tax rates. They would rather go to a country with lower tax rates. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, taxing the rich sounds fair, but in practice, especially under ZRA's capacity, it does lead to reduce inequality, because sophisticated monitoring is needed, which ZRA is yet to achieve. If ZRA had sophisticated monitoring, we wouldn't have had conviction cases like the Sontoran Investment Limited Company and the John Shen Company Limited of the Copper Belt that used to do tax evasion. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, in Zambia and other developing nations, indirect taxes like the value-added tax ends up contributing more to the national revenue than the income personal tax. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, even if as a result, if taxes are placed on the rich, it still burdens the middle class and the lower class, because most of the rich people usually...
Point of interjection allowed.
Madam Speaker, you're actually supporting the proposing side by stating your point, because here the motion clearly states, as I quote, it says taxes on the rich, which will serve as a factor to redistribute the wealth in the country. But you are saying to bring about a burden on the middle class people, which will not actually be a burden, because the middle class people will have relief on the taxes. Here is evidence with me extracted
Point of defense denied.
From https:// www.moneycrashes.com/wealth to tax, which shows the middle class tax relief. Allow me to quote a little, which says middle class incomes after taxes and benefits have grown half as fast as those of the rich, according to an analysis from the Congressional Budget Office. To show I'm a speaker who speaks from within and not from without the boundaries of debate, may the Good Samaritan please pass on this evidence for further verification.
Point of defense. Point of defense allowed.
Maybe the proposing delegation is not well aware of what value-added tax is. Not only the rich pay value-added tax. So even if the motion did say rich, each and every individual contributes to value-added tax once you buy something. So please, allow her proceed.
Speaker X, have you ever heard of the saying which says, be patient before you do something? It's like you did not clearly hear my point. Because as far as I'm concerned, I did not finish. Maybe next time we'll give you a head start so that you can wait until the point has been finished. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, let me go back to the news in detail. Taxing the rich sounds fair indeed, but as a result, members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, most of the tax burdens falls on the middle class and lower classes as a result of most of the rich people avoiding to pay tax. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, paying taxes is not a punishment, it is a responsibility. And to show that I'm a debater who speaks within the boundaries of debate, allow me to present my evidence. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, Zambia Revenue Authority Commissioner himself, Mr. Dingani Banda, on Saturday 14th June 2025, led a team of ZRA officials in educating Christians at the Bread of Life Men of Destiny conference. He himself stipulated, as I articulate, that paying taxes is a simple way of supporting the cause of ensuring that Zambia is socially and economically self-reliant. May the goody-goody do as wise. Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, we all know the ZRA slogan, which is my tax, your tax, our destiny. But the question is it really my tax, your tax, our destiny? Or is it rather wealthiest taxes, economic deficiency? 30 seconds to sum up.
30 seconds allocated.
Is it rather wealthiest taxes, economic deficiency due to the rich being burdened with other people's taxes? Members of the Auditorium House of Intellectuals, life still goes on even when you're in misery. It is a job at those who expect misery from a world that can rarely even give it. With these factual points, the long-anticipated child of the mighty Kablonga Girls Secondary School, Emma Chanda, dissolves Parliament.
Thank you so much, the second speaker from the opposing side, for educating us on this matter. I will now call upon the third speaker from the proposing side to give us their facts.
As the pendulum of persuasion swings and the scales of scrutiny are weighed, I stand before you therefore humbled and honored in full proposition to the motion that states that this House believes that taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. End of quotation. But let us remember that the threads of history are woven with the fabric of our collective decisions, from the whispers of our ancestors to the roars of our contemporary voices. The choices we make today will inevitably change the tapestry of our tomorrow. Therefore, I, James Chikwasha, before I embark on this intellectual odyssey, allow me to pay tribute to the distinguished presence of the judges, the keen audience, or let me end by simply saying, all protocol be highly and sincerely observed. Now, coming back to my first point, why I'm in full proposition to the motion is progressive taxation. This means that people who get to earn more money get to pay a higher tax rate, meaning that it acts as a systematic way in which those who earn more get to contribute more to the Zambian government. Let me give you an example. We have person A here and person B here, and person A is getting approximately 100,000 kwacha as his salary, and person B is getting 500,000 kwacha as his total earning. To make it more fair or in simple ways to be in equilibrium, person A needs to be charged, let's say, a tax rate of 20%, which is equivalent to 20,000 kwacha of 100,000 kwacha. And person B, who is getting 500,000 kwacha, needs to be charged a tax rate, let's say, of approximately 35%, which is equivalent to 175,000 kwacha. And if taxation progression is imposed, it means that the whole system is now put in equilibrium. The whole system is now fair. And if it is not imposed, it means that the rich will continue being richer and the poor will continue to be poorer. Hence, we're not improving the country. Instead, we're adding to its diplomatic estate. Moving on to my second point, which is increased government revenue. When the rich pay tax, the government gets to harness the same money to have more money which can be used to fund important projects such as the Farmer Input Support System, CDF, or Social Cash Transfer. And according to the Zambia Revenue Authority, which I quote, it estimated that Zambia's total compliance was between 47 and 56%, particularly among large corporations and high-income individuals, which could generate significant revenue. End of quotation. And according to this evidence, we see an illustration of during the COVID-19 pandemic of how people who are living in a diplomatic or deplorable state were actually living. We have severe disabilities, we have child-headed families, and elderly age person who is age 65 years or above. And when you marry this evidence to this evidence, it means that the government, even as they are earning more money from the collection of tax from the wealth, it is acting as a wealth redistribution mechanism in the sense that it is helping the people living in poverty, as well as 60 seconds to sum up.
30 seconds will be allocated.
Meaning that they're helping people living in poverty and raising a standard of living so that they can live a life that is opposed to diplomatically. Moving on to my third point. May the Good Samaritan do as wise for further verification and analysis. Moving on to my third point, which is promoting value-added products. When tax is collected from the wealth, it means that the same money is used to support or fund value-added agricultural products, which can be used to export and create a favorable balance of trade, which hence contributes to the economy. And how does it contribute to the economy? In the sense that the total visible export exceeds the total visible importations, which is a healthy economy to Zambia. And remember, this is my tax, your tax, our destiny. With these few but bulletive points, I say I've articulated my points in a supercalifragilistic manner.
Thank you so much, Speaker, for that education. May I just remind the speakers that number 1, interjections will not be allowed when quotations are being made of evidence. And number 2, interjections will not be allowed in the last 30 seconds of a speaker. I will now call upon the third speaker from the opposing side.
I am here today totally basing my vast knowledge and intellectual capacity exponentially to this Desvia's house of intellectuals. To the panel of judges, I salute you. To the chairperson, I salute you. May I just simply but humbly say that all diplomatic protocol is indeed highly observed. Now, allow me to set the ball rolling by stipulating a motion that states, as I quote, "This House believes that taxes on the rich serves as an effective tool for wealth redistribution," end of quotes, to which I, Vanessa Banda, from the mighty Kablanga Girls, most definitely disagrees, on the context that it brings about an increment in tax evasion. Members of this auditorium, for those that might not be aware of what tax evasion is, well, tax evasion is simply a crime where one deliberately does not pay the tax he or she should pay. Now, members of this auditorium, this is mostly practiced by the rich and affluent people by having offshore accounts as well as undermining the value of their assets. To show that I am a qualified speaker who speaks within the diplomatic jurisdiction of debate, allow me to produce evidence that clearly shows that these companies practice tax evasion. Members of this auditorium, now how can the rich people that practice tax evasion serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution? They can't, members of this auditorium. Allow me to proceed. According to the Zambia Revenue Analysis Report published in June 2022, it states that, members of this auditorium, Zambia currently uses a progressive tax system. And the progressive tax system comprises of a category called pay as you earn, commonly referred to as payee. Now, members of this auditorium, the payee tax consists of different income categories, meaning that the higher income earners get to pay a higher tax, whereas the lower income earners get to pay a lower tax. Now, members of this auditorium, this is the only method that has proved to be an effective tool for wealth redistribution. To show that I'm a speaker who speaks from within the diplomatic jurisdiction of debate, may Mr. Goody Goody do the do's. Bona fide affiliates of this session, allow me to say an inspirational wise quote said by a wise man that once said that tax is not a punishment. Tax is a responsibility, not only for the rich, not the elite, but for every Zambian citizen. So how can the rich people only pay tax when even the ZRA motto says, my tax, your tax, our destiny, not only the rich people's tax? With these factual and analytical points, members of this auditorium, I declare this debate closed.
Thank you so much for those lovely points, Madam Speaker. We are now down to the last two speakers of this debate, sadly. I will now call upon the last speaker from the proposing side.
For I am Chansa, all the way from Mansa, who shakes like Shakira, bounces like Beyonce, and shines like God, she's like 24 God. Former Celine came to conquer, Obama brokering peace for the black people of America. I hear Grace Namtower, just in this manner, just enough come to stand issues onto tissues. Members of the auditorium, before I go in my further, allow me to pass my humble greetings to the following people in this house of debate. The guests of honor, I salute the panel of judges, I bow to my fellow debaters. I salute you to the TikTok, tick, keep time ticking, because time was ever covered on my say, all protocol is highly and sincerely observed. For I'm here standing firmly, supporting the motion which I quote, which says that this House believes that taxes on the rich serves as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. End of quotation. My first point to support this motion is education. Taxes help to pay and provide standard education for all those that come from financially unstable homes. For example, here at the school where I come from, which is Chongwa Secondary School, we have pupils that are under CDF. The government pays for those pupils under CDF using the money that we give as tax. To show that I'm a speaker who speaks from within and not from without, here are meal cards that we have. There's someone here that pays a 1,000 kwacha and someone who is under CDF. We get the same food, we sleep in the same dormitories. May the Good Samaritan do as wise. My second point is healthcare. Through taxation, the government has managed to raise money for the aged medical bills through NEMA. NEMA has brought up a provision for the aged people since they cannot work anymore. They're now aged, they've now grown, and so they've decided to be paying for their medical bills without them having to pay anything every month. And apart from that, we also have, here's another point that will support my motion, under health, because under health, that's why we find ecosystem, democracies, economy, and climate change. So here's an article that was printed by Camilo Sanchez, which states that the tax money that billionaires are not paying could tackle the climate and environmental crisis and ensure access to health and education that millions need and have the right to. The unreasonable concentration of wealth and power is putting ecosystems, democracies, economies, and millions of lives at risk. May the Good Samaritan do as wise. My third point is economic development. Helps to fund initiatives that promote economic growth through small business loans. Almost like each and every single year, the government puts up banners to show that they'll be giving out loans to all those that do not have capital to start up businesses, which will help us boost our economy and which is also going to boost our life expectancy, because under civic education, we learn that we learn about life expectancy, which is boosted by the economy. Because as things stand right now in Zambia, our life expectancy is at 67, whilst America is at 96 and China is at 98. So if we boost the economy through the tax that the rich people are going to pay, our life expectancy can even go up to 100. To support this point, I also have an article that was also printed, which is under the taxation of wealth and eradication of poverty and inequality, which states that the progressive taxation of wealth is a powerful tool in addressing global inequality and mobilizing resources for sustainable development. As the world grapples with rising economic disparity, financial transaction taxes, which is the FTTs, net worth taxes and resource rent taxes emerge as a viable solution for domestic resource mobilization. These mechanisms support poverty eradication, reduce inequality, and align with sustainable development goal, which is the SDG, may the Good Samaritan do as wise. With these few but reasonable points, I rest my case.
Thank you so much, the last speaker. I will now call upon the last speaker from the opposing side to give us their final rebuttals, points, and facts.
Skill and confidence are an unconquered army. So as an inspiration, I bring you vital information, not only to the nation, but to this debate congregation. I stand here opposing to the motion that states, this House believes that taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution, to which I strongly oppose. But before I proceed, allow me to pass my humble greetings to the following people. To the chairperson, judges, timekeeper, and lovely audience present here today, your presence is highly recognized. With that said, our protocol be highly and highly observed. Bouncing back to the motion that states, this House believes that taxes on the rich serve as an effective tool for wealth redistribution. Now, as a summarizer of the mighty Kablonga girls, the question is not who's going to let me, but instead who's going to stop me from stating facts. Follow me closely as I summarize we base our argument in this debate. It is important to understand the Zambia Revenue Authority's effectiveness depends on enforcement, compliance, and paying of taxes. While the Zambia Revenue Authority strives for fairness and equity, the reality on the ground is far from ideal. Taxing the rich may sound good in theory, but in practice, it brings more problems than it solves. Members of this auditorium, many wealthy individuals and corporations can underestimate their income, potentially reducing how much taxes are gotten from the rich. And to show that I'm indeed a speaker who speaks from within the boundaries of debate, allow me to quote from the Zambia Revenue Authority on page 6 under a conference they had just recently, and it states as I stipulate. The head of the Presidential Delivery Unit in Zambia said government has placed special focus on domestic resource mobilization to enhance the nation's ability to fund development from within the country. She described the conference as an important platform for stakeholders to address key issues, including formalizing and capture of the informal sector into the tax net and strengthening the tax enforcement and compliance through the use of data and digital tools. The head of delivery unit added that there was need to install public trust and confidence in the tax system to enhance voluntary compliance. She also appreciated efforts by ZRA to leverage technology in tax administration and stressed the importance of an effective and fair tax system. Meaning what's actually going to ensure that taxes in Zambia actually help the Zambian people is having an effective tax system and not just taxing the rich. May the Good Samaritan pass this over to the judges for further clarity. Allow me to proceed. Members of this auditorium, if the rich find ways to dodge taxes, then the burden shifts to the middle class and the poor people. And to show that I'm indeed a speaker who speaks from within the boundaries of debate, each and every individual should pay taxes. And why am I saying this? Allow me to quote from the National Constituency Conference, and it states as I stipulate, every Zambian citizen should contribute to the welfare and advancement of the nation by paying all taxes and duties lawfully due owing to the states. May the Good Samaritan pass this over to the judges for further clarity. It is therefore discriminatory to claim that only the rich should pay taxes when each individual has to contribute. It says, my tax, your tax, our destiny. But how is it my tax, your tax, our destiny if only the rich people contribute to taxes and a future that we all want to be part of? Allow me proceed. High taxes on the rich can discourage local and foreign investment. Investors may want to take their investment into countries with lower tax rates. Allow me to quote from, why does the Zambian government have favorable policies to encourage investment in the country of Zambia? And it states as I stipulate, the Zambian government makes favorable policies to encourage investment to diversify the economy, drive economic growth, and improve the livelihoods of the people of Zambia, meaning each and every individual should contribute because every penny adds up to something. Allow me to proceed. By attracting foreign and local investment, the government aims to boost job creation, increase infrastructure development, and build on contributions for foreign direct investment. Recent policy changes, such as enhanced tax incentives and simplified business procedures, are designed to achieve these goals. To show that I'm indeed a speaker who speaks from within the boundaries of the debate, may the Good Samaritan pass this over to the judges for further clarity. Not having investors in the country will potentially diminish economic growth. Even the government of Zambia acknowledges this. This is why they have favorable policies. But to show that I'm indeed a speaker who speaks within the boundaries of debate, allow me to quote, for 30 seconds to sum up, allow me to quote from the consistent tax policy drives economic growth from the Minister of Finance and the Zambia Revenue Authority, and it states, Mr. Msokotwani was speaking at the symposium of 2016 budget organized in Lusaka this morning, and he stated, the minister also emphasized the importance of stability in taxation and policy frameworks, noting that fluctuations may discourage investors. ZRA well acknowledges that investors are needed in this. They went for another conference and it says, taxation is not a burden. Rather, it serves as a bridge to an improved socio-economic status for our society and the strengthening of communities. It is a conduit to dignity, opportunity, and collective advancement. What is collective advancement if you want only the rich people to pay taxes? I want you to understand that taxation is not a burden. And when you tax people without effective systems, you are then exploiting them. It is therefore very important to note, members of this auditorium, that taxation is supposed to help the people of Zambia. Taxation without accountability is exploitation and not redistribution. ZRA may collect taxes in good faith, but weak systems and widespread evasion on taxes make the rich an effective way to share wealth. For real equality, Zambia needs stronger enforcement, transparency, and inclusive policies for the people of Zambia. To show that I'm indeed a speaker who speaks within boundaries of debate, may the good Samaritan do as wise. With that said, I somewhere constitute dissolve Parliament.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for showing us what a debate truly is. It has been such a glorious debate. Chongwe High versus Kablonga Girls. Who do you think has won? Stay tuned as the judges tally the results.
Taxes are the lifeblood of national development, and the Zambia Revenue Authority ensures that taxes are collected efficiently and transparently. ZRA is responsible for collecting all the various types of taxes in Zambia, and these taxes fund essential public services that drive our nation's growth and development. From building schools and hospitals to improving roads and infrastructure, tax revenues ensure that Zambians have access to vital services. The ZRA also educates taxpayers, making it easier for them to comply with tax laws through initiatives like e-filing and online payment platforms. By effectively collecting taxes, the ZRA helps build a stronger, more prosperous Zambia, benefiting every citizen. The Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Welcome to the moment we've all been waiting for. The results are out. The judges have decided. Chongwe, are you ready? Yes, we are. Kablonga Girls, are we ready?
Yes.
The results are as follows. Chongwe has scored 8-11. And Kablonga Girls has scored 8-32. Which means that for this debate, Chongwe versus Kablonga Girls are the victors. Thank you so much for staying tuned with this wonderful, brilliant debate. We acknowledge all, the brains, the facts, the points. It was truly glorious. Stay tuned next week for another glorious debate.